Good morning, viewers. Today we will explain our PIA, uh, and the topic is the contamination of the Santa Catarina River and other water ecosystems by plastic bottles.
Introduction of the problem. There are many small actions that we do every day whose environmental impact, not in small. We don't know. One of them is the consumption of plastic bottles or containers, one of the major components of plastic pollution that threatens one of the most emblematic rivers of Murray, in addition to causing an impact of the oceans, the life that inhabits them, and human health. It is for this reason that in this presentation we will present what for us may be a solution to this problem. With this, we mean replacing plastic bottles with less bottles.
Problem statement. During the investigation of the contamination of the Santa Catarina River, we realized that a large part of the pollutants are plastic bottles. 300 million tons of plastic are produced annually, of which a high percentage ends up in rivers and seas. Many scientists consider this to be a more serious problem than a climate change. It is estimated that by 2015 there will be more plastic than fish in the sea. This is a problem that has to be solved because it is many consequences of us as a society, since we are what we use plastic bottles on a daily basis. Therefore, we want to propose a solution to change this. Our solution is closely linked to replacing plastic bottles with glass bottles because in our experience we have seen that glass is more ecological due to its various characteristics, such as its prolonged use in different activities, unlike plastics that are only used once in most cases.
Hypothesis for the solution and explanation of the problem. Our hypothesis is that if the materials of plastic bottles are changed to glass, this will cause a positive impact both for the Santa Catarina River and for the water ecosystems.
Alternative solution. As the problem and the solution is on a very high scale, and the solution of long terms, in addition to being very limited by the COVID-19 pandemic, we decide that our experimentation should be of the documentary research type, and we divide the documentary research into four aspects to consider and later determine if our hypothesis is correct or incorrect. The aspects that we consider are four, and the first one is characteristics of each of the materials involved in this problem. In this case, the plastic and glass, emphasizing their characteristics as a container bottle. The second is statistics on the use of glass and plastic in Mexico. The third is disadvantage of the construction of these containers. And the last one, the environmental impact in the two types of bottle, emphasizing the marine or water ecosystems. Results obtained. The characteristic of each of the material involved in this problem, in this case, plastic and glass, try again, emphasizing their packaging function. In the glass, it's chemically inert, its clarity, the rigidity, and resistant to internal pressure as well as the high temperature. It has a low production cost. It's a material that can be indefinitely recycled, so it can be considered ecological. And now for the plastic, its main characteristic is the impermeability, protecting object from water or other liquid. The second is they are good thermal insulators since they produce electrical current poorly. The third is they are resistant to corrosion. This stability is the cause of the main pollution problems caused by plastics, since they don't degrade and pollute the environment. They have a lot of, and the last one, they have a low production cost. Result obtained. Este,
Okay, the second aspect that we investigate is the statistics on the use of glass and plastic in Mexico. For the plastic, we have three statistics. The first is that Mexico produces about 80 million tons of plastic per year, of which 50% are single-use and only 6.7% are recycled. The second one is that 450,000 tons of plastic are used for the consumption of soft drinks. And the last one is that the oceans are filled with 8 million tons of plastic a year. It is estimated that by 2020, it will be 500 million tons of plastic. So we need to. These are the statistics of plastic, and for the glass, the static is that according to the latest data from the Ministry of the Environment and Natural Resources, Semarnat in Mexico, than of 2.5 million tons of glass containers thrown away annually in the country. Only 12% are recycled. Okay, now we have to we explain the third aspect that we investigate, that are the disadvantage of the construction of these containers, the plastic bottles and the glass bottles. First, of the glass, the disadvantage. The glass or the glass making involves the extraction of raw materials such as silica sand and dolomite, which can release contamination that, when inhaled, can cause silicosis, a lung condition. And the second one is that the high temperatures are also needed to melt these materials, a process driven overwhelmingly by fossil fuels. During production, the glass itself releases carbon dioxide. And for the plastic, we have a lot of disadvantage, but the one of them of this is that the plastic bottles are made of petroleum. 100 milliliters are needed of oil to produce a single plastic bottle, and the production is not only one disadvantage. The second are the disposal of waste is also a huge burden. And finally, the final aspect that we investigate are the environmental impact emphasis of the marine or water ecosystem, that are the topic or the general aspect that we need to put in emphasis. Okay, what are the environmental impact of plastic? The plastic take up to 500 years to degrade, so it's difficult to the bottles can get trapped. Sorry. The marine animals can get trapped in the bottles or mistake them for food that doesn't actually nourish them and cause death. And the second is that if plastic is incinerated, toxic fumes are produced and thus pollute the environment. Okay. For the glass, the environmental impact is very it's difficult, because the glass is more ecological to the environment, but they need we mentioned that they need sand to produce the glass. So is when you use sand, the glass use sand of the oceans, and they affect the ecosystem, the marine ecosystem. So it's one disadvantage, or is one environmental impact of the glass containers.
Conclusion. As a conclusion, we have that our hypothesis was rejected. Since alpha glass bottles could solve the problem of the Santa Catarina River, in the long term, it is much more polluting and produces more consequences to the ecosystems than plastic. As mentioned in the results, glass has a serious impact on ecosystems and the environment, since its production requires resources from the oceans such as sand, and its production requires high energy consumption, which as a consequence, glass is not the best alternative to the problem of the bottle contamination. Finally, we conclude that each of us should look for ways in which we can help the environment to be less polluted, since both plastics and glasses are highly harmful to the environment, and this results in over the years global warming increase and our world is more and more polluted, which doesn't benefit us, since we are the inhabitants of it.
There are the bibliography of the investigation, the documental investigation of, and for the PIA, and that's the final aspect, the final aspect, and these are our names. The team is Team LGDA. Then there are the participants of the PIA, and thanks to watch the video.